I would just like to give a quick disclaimer before we get into the episode that this episode can be extremely triggering and it is for mature audiences only. So I would really encourage parents to monitor their children if they're watching the show. I don't think it's appropriate for kids, and you know, if you are somebody who could be triggered by mature content, then this might not be it for you, and I would just like to say that going into this. Welcome back to our Euphoria reaction show. My name is Carly Storms.
Sounds like Jenna.
Jenna's back this episode,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
today we are reacting to Season 2, Episode 5, which is called Stand Still Like the Hummingbird.
Right.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, man. I mean, that very first scene, that intro scene, crazy.
So they open up with Rue's mom is confronting Rue about her addiction. Gia's listening in the other room, and that's how you begin to hear it. And Gia's, you know, poor Gia. No one talks about Gia, right? She goes through a lot as her sister.
She definitely needs therapy.
Deep therapy.
Like, seriously. Like, she has been through a lot. Even just in these past few episodes. Like,
right.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Like, all that screaming and all that, like, that's...
It's a lot, and that's her
trauma.
sister, you know?
Right.
So that's where we begin at. And Rue's mom has found the suitcase full of drugs hidden in Rue's room. So she confronts her about using pills again. Rue tries to go back to gaslighting 101, and she runs into Gia's room, and she's like, "Did you fucking tell Mom that I was smoking a little bit of weed to help with my panic attacks?"
And told on herself, for real.
I mean, her mom already knew.
Well, clearly, but still. It was
she
like,
tried. She tried to cover it, you know.
Like, well,
nothing to see here, right? But her mom already knew.
Back, but her mom already knew.
Gia didn't snitch on her. She tries to cover it up, but it's already clear her mom knows what's going on. And she's like, "No, Rue, I'm talking about opiates. I'm talking about pills." And then she realizes that her mom took the suitcase, and then she starts to go into panic mode. And she's like, "Where's the fucking suitcase?" And she starts destroying her room, destroys her mom's room, and starts getting violent.
She goes into full rage mode, actually, I feel, because some of the things she was saying, like, you know, I'm just like, dude, like, I don't know, like, the withdrawal, you know what I'm saying, like, that feeling like that, you know what I mean, like, but clearly she just went way off the deep end in her emotions and feelings, because, of course, she had that deal with the drug dealer lady,
Laurie.
And so she owes money for this stuff. But then it's like, you've been doing the drugs the whole time, so you don't have the money anyway. Except for what she dropped off. You know what I mean? So it's just like, you've been doing the drugs the whole time anyway, so you ain't got money anyway.
Here's how I interpreted that. I don't think Rue ever had any intention of paying Laurie back. I think she was gonna kill herself.
Probably, yeah.
Laurie's not dumb. She's a grown adult woman.
Right.
And a drug kingpin. Queenpin.
Queenpin.
Drug queenpin, okay?
A drug queen.
Not to be fucked with. Do not get involved with these drugs. The drug world is dark.
Get it right.
And I've known a few drug addicts in my life, and I think, you know, when you have an intervention like that, first of all, it's just triggering because you need the drugs. You become physically dependent. And Rue is at that point. I mean, so she comes to the realization, I'm going to go through withdrawals. Her mom wants to send her to the hospital to get detox and then go to rehab. She doesn't want to quit drugs. She is suicidal, basically. I mean, and she said that before. She doesn't want to live. She says she wants to die. Like, she hates herself. And it's this cycle that drug addicts get into where you just end up in this deep, dark place, and that's the only place it's gonna take you to, honestly.
I mean, it's just like,
it's terrible.
I mean,
she misses her dad. She says that, you know, she's grieving and she suffers from mental illnesses, and I think that's her way of coping, which is not the best way to cope.
I mean, she just went into full rage
Berserk.
mode. She's throwing stuff, knocking over stuff, screaming, yelling, tearing up the whole place. You know what I mean? Just saying awful things and just going absolutely berserk. And I feel like when she sat down and like started crying, like, Mom, I'm just, I felt like that was total manipulation. Like, I don't know that she really felt that. I just think she wanted those drugs because her addiction is one thing, but also the fact that she owes that lady who's crazy.
Laurie's the scariest character.
She owes Laurie money too, so it's like that's like a double.
That's not good.
Double boom! Like, I have to find these drugs.
Her mom and Gia lock themselves in Gia's room.
Yeah.
She's having that meltdown, and she's going through sadness, back to rage, and I think that's part of being an addict too. I'm not sure what it is, but she's going through a whole range of emotions, whether it's being manipulative on purpose or not. She's not in a good place, and she's having a full-blown meltdown. So she starts kicking the door. She kicks through the door, bangs her head in the door, like front way, back way, slams through, gets in her mom's face, threatens her and her sister, wants her mom to hit her. Her mom does end up hitting her because they're all just pushed to the brink of their sanity.
Right.
And then she goes back out, and she's like, where the fuck did you put the drugs, Mom? She goes in her mom's room, and then you hear Jules' voice, and she says, we flushed the drugs. And then Rue has a look of horror on her face, like, and total embarrassment because she's going through the worst moment of her life, and her girlfriend just heard every word. Then Elliot's there too, which we'll get into that, but she comes out there and just starts tearing them up. First of all, I feel that she comes to the realization that Jules and Elliot are having sex because she goes, oh, I see what's going on here. And then she goes and she says, first of all, he's been using the drugs with me. Hits him in the head, which I was kind of like, yeah.
Right, so it's like, what? That's a whole thing.
He shouldn't have even been there, first of all, because we know as the audience that he has been hooking up with Jules. Right. So he's the biggest snake. Like, you've been doing the drugs. Right. You've been cheating. Like, that's not cool.
He's been doing the drugs with her the whole time. Mm-hmm. Then he starts smashing Jules or whatever.
Violations.
You know what I'm saying? And now you show up at the intervention, but you need an intervention too. If she need an intervention, so does he.
Right.
Right?
She was right about that part. Like,
he's just sitting there
like,
and
why is he
the
there?
whole time. Like,
he's just like, oh.
And it's just like, bruh, what's your whole
like, why are you
in the
here?
whole situation? You know what I mean? But then it's like she goes to Jules and just starts saying even more like
hurtful things.
And I'm just like, she's lost in addiction. Clearly that came from that kind of place. You know what I mean?
Because she loves Jules. I truly believe that they love each other. But I think that Rue is so lost in this moment. She goes to that place where, I mean, I've had moments like this where you just say the meanest thing that, like the meanest thing that you could think of, like hit someone right in the heart. I think everybody's had those moments before where you just said something that was like uncalled for.
Well, I mean,
come on, everyone has said things like, not necessarily to that level, but where you just said something mean, like spiteful,
like, damn,
like because you're hurting, you know.
Yeah. So,
and that's where she's coming from, a place of hurt.
She's just very hurt and very like, gosh, she just seems so. And it's just like you gotta ask yourself. Because one of the things her mother says to her is, you're not a good person.
And what that brought to my mind was in the last episode when she's nodding off and having that hallucination, she's hugging her dad, and she says, I'm not a good person. She thinks that about herself, too. Right. But he says, no, you are a good person. I know you in your heart, even though I'm not there. So I felt like her mom said that, and then she was just, that was the most hurtful thing her mom could have said, because that's how Rue really feels about herself.
Well, then you gotta ask yourself, is she a good person?
I think she is in her heart. I think addiction makes people do things that they would never do.
Good person? You know?
I've seen people on drugs who were good people, but drugs makes you into somebody that's unrecognizable.
She's had an ugly moment. You know what I mean? Because
she messed up.
She's completely an addict. I mean, she's a hardcore
addict.
She's a hardcore drug user. And it's taking her low. It's taking her low. She's lying.
We've been saying the whole time that we've been feeling like we're going up on this roller coaster, and we're like, what is going to be the precipice? And I feel like for Rue's story, this is it. Like, this is about to escalate throughout this episode, and it's just going to get
getting
worse.
And worse and worse and worse and worse.
It's getting bad.
Whew.
After the confrontation with Jules, Elliot, and Rue's mom, Rue decides that she's down to go to the ER to withdraw safely. Her mom and Gia pack up her stuff, and they get in the car and they start to go. Rue is looking out the window, and she starts thinking to herself, she doesn't want to get clean. Like, she's not at that point. She wants to continue using, and that's all she's thinking about. So she starts saying more hurtful stuff, telling her mom that she was planning on killing herself in a month.
Right.
Off of those drugs.
Right.
I think she just planned on ODing at the end when she got down to the end of it. Like, I'm not paying Laurie back. I'm just gonna OD.
She gave her a suitcase full of drugs.
$10,000 worth of drugs.
Oh my.
Now, that brings up a thought about that. If I was Rue's mom, I would have some questions about that amount of drugs. That's not like I found a little baggie of pills. That's like, you're selling drugs.
Like, you have a lot.
I'd be like, are you selling drugs? That'd be my first question. Like, you have heroin, fentanyl, weed, pills, every drug on planet Earth was in that suitcase.
Well, depending on what was left, because her mother only said the pills, and I feel like they did most of the other drugs.
Well, where we left off, at least in the last episode, like half the suitcase was gone, so there was still a significant amount, like $5,000 worth still.
Crazy.
Of hard drugs.
Right.
Like, not any, like, you know, if you found one or two pills, you might sit your kid down and have some questions and have an intervention.
Got a carry-on full of drugs.
Right, I probably wouldn't have flushed them. I would have first talked to I would have hid them somewhere locked up, but I would have been like, listen, what's going on here? Because this is not just personal drug use. Like, I don't know. So anyways.
On the way to the rehab.
On the way to the rehab, after Rue says that she planned on killing herself, her mom says, we're not just taking you to the ER, you're also going to rehab after. And she said, wait, we're just going to the ER, I thought. She's like, no, like, you need to get clean, blah, blah, blah. Rue's like, the chances are 5% of me getting clean. Her mom tries to be positive, and she's like, everybody says that, Mom, and it's not true, whatever. Then Rue's like, just let me out of the fucking car. Just let me out of the fucking car. She jumps out of the car, runs into oncoming traffic.
Middle of traffic.
Could have died. She's lucky she didn't die right there. Runs off down the street. She's like, get Rue! Like, Mom!
All bad.
So she's running down the street.
Her poor little sister.
I know, she's so worried about her.
Losing it. And I'm just like, man.
Sucks.
They've been through a lot.
As a family, there's some real ones, because they haven't given up on her, which is really amazing.
That's a lot.
A lot of people would give up on somebody.
Poor
or kick them out on the streets,
sister.
you know?
I feel so terrible for her. She
sucks.
She's been through all of it.
Hell and back. So then they're trying to get her in the car, and Rue is sprinting down the street. Causes, like, near collisions, and then she escapes for the time being. Then it cuts to her, she takes a nap in the alleyway, and now it's nighttime. She's going through heavier withdrawals at this point. She's yawning, which I learned after watching this. I looked it up, and it said that that's a symptom of opiate withdrawals. And then she's also like cramping and all the terrible stuff that comes along with withdrawing from heavy drugs. Then she goes to Cassie and Lexi's house, and she asks to use the bathroom there, and Cassie and Lexi's mom is asking all them questions, and Rue's like, can I just, she's sweating.
Yeah.
Like, can I use the bathroom?
Yeah.
She's like, yeah.
Go for it.
She calls Rue's mom. She's like, she doesn't look good.
Right.
You know?
Mom peeped the whole thing. Like,
as any mom should do.
Well,
really, at that point. Like, call her mom. You know? So her mom shows up. She comes out the bathroom. She goes in, she looks for pills while she's in the bathroom. It's unsure whether or not she finds them, but she might have. She comes back out, and her mom is there. And she's like, fucking great. This can't get any fucking worse.
Like, Right.
So they start confronting her again. And they're all trying to be encouraging and, you know, they're all having this solidarity moment. And Rue's just like, get me out of here.
Right.
And then she drops the bombshell.
She uses her deflection technique. It's created a diversion. Real smooth and real quick. Like, how long you been fucking Nate?
I got a question for you, Cassie. How long have you been fucking Nate Jacobs?
Right.
Everyone's like,
right.
That's how we were sitting too, like,
right. Oh.
Because we knew it was going to come out, but like this, the way it came out, this was so good. Like, juicy tea. So
Cassie is just like,
she starts crying.
Like, what?
Like, what? What are you talking about? And then she said, she made a low blow too. She said, she's an addict.
Right.
Like, we can't trust her.
Well, she had to try
deflect
something, you know what
herself.
I mean? Like, she had to try something.
Everyone's deflecting. Like, it's not me, it's not me. And then Maddie's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And you know, Maddie ain't taking no shit.
Remember that montage where they were showing her like whooping, like
whooping ass,
going ham?
She's like, you're a racist.
Bow,
bow, bow, bow. Maddie's not
bombs on people. So yeah, I mean,
I'm surprised she didn't drop a bomb on Cassie right there because she deserves it. Actually. Like,
so now they got an issue now. You know what I'm saying? Like, clearly that's her issue that she's having sex with Nate behind her back. I just think it's so messed up how she was kind of being like, she was being friends with her the whole time and smashing Nate the whole time.
Yeah, and y'all best friends. Ultimate betrayal. That's ultimate friend betrayal. That'll ruin someone's friendship forever. Seriously. You can't do that. That's a line you cannot cross. Not to mention Nate's a psycho and she knows.
Right.
That part.
Super messy, super crazy, super ugly.
Right.
It's all bad.
So it becomes chaos right there because then that confrontation starts happening. Rue and her mom are still like having their conversation and they're like, can you guys just stop for a sec? Because it's more important than that issue, honestly. And then they can't stop. They continue, and that's what Rue wanted. That's why she brought it up. So she escapes again, and it's Rue on the run. Now she's off.
Back on the run.
Back on the run. So, after Rue leaves Cassie and Lexi's place, she goes back to Fez's house. She had gone previously, and he wasn't there. Now, he's home, he lets her in, and she asks to use the bathroom. This seems to be her thing this episode. Really, she's looking for drugs. So, she remembers from last season that his grandma, who's incapacitated, has a bunch of drugs in her room. So after she says she's going to the bathroom, she goes in there and starts looking at all the pill bottles to see if it's anything that she could use. She finds something, and then Fez comes in and he's like,
no.
Hell no. And he's like, it's the principle. Like, you can't do that. And I agree with him. That's not cool. You know?
Well, he doesn't go crazy because he knows she's an addict.
Well, he's a drug dealer.
Right.
He's enabled her as well.
Drugs, yeah, like.
Nobody is perfect, just like in life, but he was an enabler as well. I believe that he cares about her, but, you know, she's so far gone at this point. It's like, what can you do for her? And he doesn't keep drugs at his place anymore because Mouse's affiliate, who's now his affiliate, came by in the last episode saying Mouse's baby mama was asking all them questions. So he doesn't keep it there. So he's like, I don't have anything.
Well, yeah.
So he kicks her out because then she starts talking shit and he just picks her up and is like, hell fucking no. Kicks her to the curb.
Picks her up, puts her out.
So she goes, okay, I need to get money for drugs.
Right.
She's walking down the street and she sees this couple leaving in a nice house in suburbia.
She shimmies under the garage.
She looks at the camera like
door and gets inside their place, starts committing crimes, you know what I mean? And then starts looking through their stuff, comes upon a safe. Just so happens that the code is 11111111. And it
shitty
opens,
code.
Unlocks, opens, inside of the safe is a gun, some
valuables,
I don't know, some
money.
kind of valuables. And an envelope of money, where she promptly grabs that.
And before she went in the safe, she also grabbed jewelry and some other
she
cash.
ransacked through their stuff a little bit. As soon as she gets the money out of the thing, boom! All of a sudden, the couple comes back. She hears them, and now she's screwed because she's still in the place.
Bedroom.
Right. So she's hiding under the bed, and of course the wife says, hey, someone ransacked our stuff, get the gun. And
Right.
of course the gun is in the safe. So boom, she knows he's coming back right by where she is, and he immediately sees her, and then boom, it's Rue on the run again.
Yeah, because she hides under the bed, which is where the safe is. And the wife is taking off her jewelry, and Rue had stolen some of that jewelry from that jewelry box. So it was very noticeable, and she wasn't quick about it either. She's like playing with the dog and shit.
I know.
So then it's kind of funny. Like he opens up under the bed where the the bed skirt is,
right.
and she's looking
like,
and then you just see her booking it like, oh shit. Now as she's on the run, the police pull up, and that's never going to be a good thing. First of all, she is not white.
Right.
Second of all, she's a minor.
Right.
Third of all, she looks fucked up.
She looks like not
suspicious.
Good. She looks not good.
She looks all around suspicious. So they stop.
It's all bad.
And they're like, where are you going? She says, home.
Right.
They ask her again, what did you say? Where are you going? Home. And she's like,
she's mad suspicious.
She's about to puke. And then they ask her a third time, and she just blows chunks. Like, and then she starts running.
Back on the run.
And that's not good. So of course they're gonna chase you. It's the police. Right. So then there's a whole chase sequence. Rue on the run. She goes crazy. She's hopping walls. She's crashing parties. It's a pretty crazy montage. The quinceañera cake goes down. She falls
party
by the cactuses.
It's all
running
bad.
through backyards.
It's just like look at where these look at where her life is.
The consequences of your actions.
Like, you're running from the cops right now. You just broke in someone's home and stole some shit out of their house.
To get drugs, because you're going through heavy withdrawals.
Mad withdrawals. I'm sure she looked at their medicine cabinets, too.
Right. They didn't have anything.
and now you're on the run. You running from the cops. It's out of control. This is completely completely out of control.
Spiral. Now, where is she going? Laurie's. Okay, now we know from the jump, as the audience, Laurie's been really transparent. I gotta give it to her. Here's what I think about Laurie. She's an adult, fully grown adult. She's not stupid. You can't get to that level of drug dealing being stupid, at least in a street smart kind of way. She asks immediately in the first episode of the season, when they go to that drug deal, she asks Fez, does she use? Because she's kind of scoping her out. Fez, backs her up like, yeah, she fuck around, but she's not an addict. I think Laurie was like, no, I know an addict when I see one. So then Rue comes with this genius plan. Laurie goes, oh, you're a genius. You're a genius, Rue. Let me give you $50K suitcase. Like any high schooler could really deal that in a month. That's a lot of drugs. So then Rue was like, no, maybe just the $10K, right? Laurie tells her, if you don't give me my money back, I'm gonna sell you to some sick people. Rue's like, I don't fucking care, just give me them fucking drugs, right? Here she goes back to Laurie's place, and we already know. We have the foresight to know that nothing good is gonna come of that. Your drug dealer doesn't care about you.
Bottom line, you showing up and you don't have all of her money. And that's a problem.
Rue goes to Laurie's place.
Bam.
We suspect bad things are going to happen. Now she's going through very heavy withdrawals at this point. Like the heaviest withdrawals we've seen her go through in the entire series that I can recall in this moment.
Right.
So she goes in there. The first big red flag. Laurie goes, Ruby Bennett. It's so good to see you again. Now, first of all, I didn't know her name was Ruby. I don't think anybody knew that. They've never called her that the entire series. So Laurie knows her government name. She never told her name at all. Well, maybe she said Rue when she came in the last time to get the drugs, but she didn't. So she's been doing recon on Rue, okay? That's not good. She comes in, she's clearly withdrawing, and she needs help from Laurie. She wants drugs. She gives her the jewelry that she stole, and she gives her the cash. Laurie basically says,
you ain't got all my money yet.
She said, I'm not a pawn shop. I can't accept jewelry. I need cash. Period.
You still owe.
Rue was like just so out of it on the withdrawal tip. Laurie's one of those psychopaths that's very scary because she's so calm. Like, she never loses her temper. She's not one of those kind of psychos. She's the scariest type of psycho. One of those unassuming, manipulative types that will, like, draw you in the way that she draws Rue in. Just like pretending that she's a motherly type, and somebody who's naive could be easily drawn into that kind of thing. She's a kid, you know? Like, she doesn't have any street smarts. She's in way too deep. So Laurie's making food and pouring herself a drink, and she's talking about her supposed addiction story. She said she was a college athlete, supposedly. I don't really believe a word this woman says. It could be all a fabrication. And then she says that she got injured.
I don't even think Rue is aware enough to really even care.
Well, I know, but as the audience, it's interesting because it's like, she's telling this whole story about how she became an addict, and then she's talking about how she would have done anything to escape withdrawals. And she's like, well, you know, if you don't have money, you always have something else that people want. She told her right at the beginning. So then at this point, we're like, she's gonna get human trafficked. Like, she's in sex trafficking. Like, because Rue is so in the throes of addiction, but how can she escape right now? She can't. She's sick. Like, she's physically ill. So she lies and says that she only has IV morphine. And Rue's like, well, I don't do intravenous drugs. So she puts her in the tub because Rue starts getting sick and stuff. Laurie goes and opens one of her suitcases, and you can clearly see she has all sorts of drugs. But she intentionally tells Rue that she only has intravenous morphine. Then it cuts to this shot where there's like this little squirrel thing, and she sets down the syringe and the morphine, and she helps Rue get in the bath, and they're like out of focus. And she's just in a lot of pain. She's just saying like, I want to die, like, I can't do this, basically. And Laurie's like, oh, you sweet thing, blah, blah, blah. She's like, I'll take anything that you got. And she goes, oh, are you sure? Bitch, please. She goes right and gets that morphine that she already had out. This is all pre-planned in Laurie's mind, I feel. And then she goes in there, and then she's like, hold your arm steady. And Rue's arm isn't even really shaking, and she like hits her multiple times, which I also think is intentional. I'm not exactly sure why, but I feel like she did that to like fuck her up, you know?
Oh, I'm sure we'll find out.
We'll find out in the next few episodes, I'm sure, but that seems sadistic and fucked up. And then she shoots her up with morphine. But luckily, Rue lied about how much she's been using. She asked her, and Rue at least had the clarity of mind in that moment to lie and say she was only taking 40 milligrams. Now we know she's taking God knows what every day, like a shit ton of drugs. So even with the intravenous drug, she's not knocked out for days and days, which is what I think Laurie wanted. Because before she shoots her up, they flash to this padlocked door in the back, and we hear like a scratching noise. And it's like, does she have another person there that's like locked up to be sold into human trafficking?
I mean, that's a lot. I mean, I just feel like, you know, at the end of the day, don't show up to the plug's house without their money. And
just don't do drugs, people, seriously.
Just definitely stay out of the whole thing. But if you in that situation, and then at the end of the day, somebody was in that room, or something was in that room that was scratching kind of at that door, and you know, Rue is just, I just feel like she should go play the lottery, you know, the next day or something, because honestly,
she's so lucky.
She is the luckiest person alive, you know, and it could have gone the other way on any of those situations, and it's just like, dude, addiction is not a joke. Evil. And
it's dark,
and it could take you very, very low, lower than you ever think you could ever go, I think, you know.
And I mean, she is at the lowest point. The only thing that she escaped here was death, and I want to make that very clear. She's not in a good place. Like, she's lucky that she didn't die, but that's the only place that she's above right now. She's literally like death Rue, like right there. Seriously, like shooting up drugs is not a fucking joke. Like, that's not cool. And even before that, she was way out of control. So this, to me, was just like, it was hard for me to watch, seriously. Like, I could barely watch this. This is like
Trigger warning.
She gets shot up, and then they have this really heartbreaking montage where they show her as a little kid, like maybe like 2 years old, 3 years old, and she's in the bathtub as a little kid, which once she gets shot up, she like goes under the water there. And we don't know what happens to her the rest of that night. But then in her hallucinations, she is a kid again, and then it's like her sister's being born. She's with her dad, and it's like really heartwarming. And then it flashes to her dad's wake, and she makes this speech and is just completely heartbroken. You just like get an even deeper understanding of her pain. Then she wakes up the next morning at Laurie's place in the spare bedroom. She has track marks all over her arm, and she's like, I gotta leave, right? So she gets up, all the windows are locked, all the doors are locked, everyone's asleep. And these birds are Laurie's alarms, basically. So she's trying to be really quiet, and she tries all the keys, she can't unlock the front door. She sees that Laurie and her mans are asleep. She sleeps real scary too, like a corpse. A psycho. And that kid that works for them is also asleep. She finds out that the one window they left unlocked was their bathroom. So she creeps in there, and the man that's sleeping next to Laurie wakes up and comes out, starts looking. Rue's like, bonk. But she manages to get this window open, gets out, climbs out the second floor window, and jumps 2 stories. I'm surprised she didn't break her ankles. And she runs for her life.
Right back on the run. And it's like, you know, her life spiraled out of control just so quick. It went from being like her just doing a little of this, little of that with Elliot to...
I don't think it was a little of this, little of that.
Well, her just...
I'm sorry.
I mean, at least...
You can't like casually use heroin and fentanyl and snort
All I'm
pills.
saying is that it just spiraled out of control
Quickly.
quick, and it progressed really quickly.
Right.
And now she's at the point where you got this drug dealer, you know, queen pen lady, shooting you up, like literally shooting you, injecting you with morphine. That's what it was.
To put you into human trafficking, human sex
for whatever
trafficking.
reason, whatever the fucking reason.
She said what the reason was.
Injecting her with morphine, and it's just all completely bad. And you really are in danger. Your life is in complete danger. You have no idea what this lady was planning to do with you, or how long she intended. I don't know how long she intended to have her out. But at the same time, that's all bad. And you should run for your life and get out of that situation immediately. And that's what she's done. But it's just like, Rue, your life is completely... I mean, I don't know if that's her rock bottom. I feel like it could get worse. It could get worse. But we shall see, you know, on the next episode. Because right now it's looking all... bad.
She's lucky she left that night with her life, seriously. And it escalated so quickly to that point. It seems like, you know, we don't get a clear timeline, but I would guess no more than a couple months have passed. Like maybe 2 months.
Quickly out of
since
control.
she relapsed. So it's ridiculous what went down in this episode, and scary and traumatizing and just completely out of control craziness. So, you know, she's lucky that she didn't die. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. It was just terrible. That was one of the worst things I've ever had to see on TV in my whole life. And people really live that life. I think that's what needs to be made clear. That's why it's so scary to me, because it's like, wow, there are really people out there that have gone through that. Seriously. So my hope is that this will be a turning point for Rue, and she will get clean, or she may have to go even deeper in her addiction. I don't know. Either way, she didn't pay Laurie back, so you know Laurie is not playing, and Laurie is gonna come for her. She's gonna have to pay the Pied Piper, period. I don't know how that's gonna turn out, but I really hope that she gets clean and figures something out, some sort of plan to pay her back and just get Laurie off her case and just move forward with her life. Like, just get clean, move forward. Like, you're lucky. You need to just be so grateful that you even came out of this, like, unscathed, essentially. Like, other than the severe drug abuse and addiction, you could turn your life around. Like, she could have died. And that's scary. So she runs out of that gate. It flashes to her mom. The door opens and she goes, Rue? And that's it. That's the end. So we're not sure what the next episode will hold, but that was pure craziness.
I mean, it seems really, 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 really bad. I hope that Rue can get some help, like ASAP, because it seems like she's pretty much at the bottom. You know what I mean? I don't know that anything else can happen to her other than death. You know?
Right.
So I don't know, man. It's just like, I would say it can't get any worse, but it's just like every time you think it's gotten as bad as it's gonna get, something else happens where it just gets worse.
Right.
So. I don't know, man. I hope she gets help, like, ASAP, and they can get her the help she needs, because she's clearly, these are high school kids.
Well,
you know, having this level of addiction and all of this.
There are high school kids who I knew that were, like, doing drugs, you know? Like, people, it's a real experience that people are really having, and the opioid epidemic is out of control in the United States and around the world, but I think particularly here, right now, it's really, really bad, like worse than ever. And people are in pain, so that's what makes this show a hit show, I think, is just that it's raw and real and authentic. They're not glossing it over, you know, like it's just in your face, like, boom, here it is. Like, these people are living this. Like, wow.
Old girl needs help immediately, ASAP.
We hope she gets
right
help.
now. And I hope she gets that help. And we'll see what happens next week.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Well, that's everything we got for this episode. This was mind-blowing, the most intense episode of the entire series. Hands down, it just went
crazy
to 100. So we're wishing the best for every character in the show, and I can't wait to see what unfolds next week. So we're gonna stay tuned, and we're gonna find out. We're definitely strapped in on this ride.
Tuning in for sure.
We're tuning in.
Can't wait till the next episode. It's gotta be crazy.
Yeah. Oh, one final thought. You know, I think we need to give Zendaya her Emmy, okay? Because this was a phenomenal performance. I've seen a lot of TV and movies, and this was the best portrayal of addiction that I've ever seen, and just all around, just an incredibly moving performance. Like, I felt unsafe watching this. I get so sucked in where I almost feel like I'm like living the character when I'm watching it. And Zendaya, just shout out to you because you did an incredible job. So, and everybody involved. This show is just top-notch acting.
The acting is very good.
Yeah, it really is. Everybody involved, shout out to y'all. Just keep doing your thing because this is going to the moon, baby. Emmys. Emmys. All right, till next week. Peace.
Later.